We begin with Divinity Original Sin 2 Definitive Edition. So this is a turn-based RPG where up to 4 players can play together. We can also play solo. This is quite a vast game. It's made by Larian Studios, the people behind the popular Baldur's Gate 3. This was their previous game, and also a very well-made game. Everything is voiced, all the NPCs and characters, and your friends can drop in and drop out in co-op. And the game is quite long. It will take you a good 100 hours or so to complete the game. So this is 70% off, $1349. Next, we have Control Ultimate Edition. So the Ultimate Edition includes all the content, as you know. So this game is set in the Federal Bureau of Control, and there's some corruptive influence in the building, and you have to stop it. Like you are the only one with the power to stop it. The game mechanic is basically your gun can sort of transform, and you can also use telekinesis to use the environment, etc., as weapons, basically. So yeah, interesting story, supernatural stuff, and quite a popular game made by Remedy Entertainment, the people behind the original Max Payne games. This is 75% off, $10. Next, we have Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition. So once again, this Game of the Year Edition has all the extra content. Besides the base game, there was a sort of expansion, a new place called Far Harbor, which was another island you had to go. Automatron, the New World was another area they added later on with new gangs and stuff. You had the workshop and things like that. I have played this game 2 times to completion, and I really enjoyed this game. So even though there were some issues compared to the previous ones, you had a voice protagonist, which a lot of people did not like, especially because some of the voice lines were very cringy, let's say. But overall, I think this was a great Fallout game. This is 75% off, $10 only. Next, we also have Skyrim Special Edition, also available on GOG now, and this is $10 once again. I guess you already know what Skyrim is. Huge world, open world, you are dragonborn, stuff like that. This is, of course, the Special Edition, which came out in 2016. You can also get the Anniversary Edition here, but this is like the sort of the best version to try. And then the Anniversary Edition, you can get an upgrade to that because it adds a few more mods from the Creation Club. So yeah, not a bad one, but you can try this one, as this is just under $10. Next, we have the Metro franchise bundle. So all 3 Metro games in one bundle, all the expansions and everything included. The first 2 did not have expansions. The third one did have 2. The 2 Kernels and Sam's Story, the Exodus. So all of these are just under $10 at 84% off, $9.51. So another supernatural first-person shooters, basically, and based on a book. And yeah, pretty good games overall. The atmosphere was very nice. Next, we have Prey. So Prey is set on a space station that is orbiting the moon in the year 2032. And you are a subject of an experiment that can alter humanity forever. But of course, things go wrong, and some aliens take over and hunt you on the space station. So you have to survive in any way you can. And the fate of everyone on board the space station depends on you. So a bit of a sci-fi thriller. Looks very good even now. And it's got a decent playtime as well, about 16 hours roughly, according to how long to beat. And yeah, overall, it's a very good looking game. I'm surprised it did not do too well, because a lot of people were unhappy because it shared the name as the previous Prey game from 2006, even though they had nothing in common. But yeah, the game on its own is pretty good if you put that aside. So this is 80% off, $5.99. Next, we have Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. So based on the Lord of the Rings universe, you play as a ranger. Now, I believe this is set before the events of the movies, and the game is pretty good. I have played this game a couple of times, and I really liked it. The combat is fantastic here, and a lot of combos that you can do. The Nemesis system, of course, is very famous, where the orcs that you fight against, they have their own sort of hierarchy, and you can manipulate that, and they also remember their encounters with you, and they'll taunt you and things like that. The only thing I did not like about this game was the open world felt pretty small, and also the game has very low FOV, field of view. So it gave me headaches because I'm one of those people who get headaches if the field of view is very low. So you can change it by going into the settings INI file, but yeah, some of us were struggling with that. So this is 75% off, $499. Next, we have Dishonored Definitive Edition, another of my favorite series from the last decade. This one, you play as a supernatural assassin in a sort of steampunk setting and on a revenge, basically. You have some special abilities and you have to basically hunt down some people. And also you have the ability to go and very sneakily, like you can finish missions very quietly without collateral damage, let's say. And also you can like kill everyone. The outcome at the end will depend a little bit on how you play that. Well, not a little bit, quite a bit. So that is also an interesting twist. And this definitive edition also has a couple of extra DLCs. And this is 75% off, $499. Next is Mad Max. So one of my favorite open world games. So you are basically playing Mad Max, and this is like, again, not connected to the movies or anything. So it's a standalone story, you could say. So Max is going somewhere, the local warlord and his war boys attack him, take his car, leave him for dead. He gets up, he wants his car back, finds a crazy religious mechanic who gives him basically a shell of a car, and together you go around building that car and taking down this warlord and trying to get your car back. So it's your typical open world game, enemy outpost to clear, basically reduce the influence of the enemy. But there's also a mechanic where you upgrade the car, add interesting upgrades to it for different purposes. And yeah, it was quite a fun game. The combat was fun, the car combat was fun, hand-to-hand combat. It wasn't a survival style game, but it was a big, vast open world from the Mad Max universe. And I thought this was a very good game. Not as well received in the mainstream, but everybody I know who's played the game really likes it. So 80% off, $399. Next, we have Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition, another, you could say, similar game, open world, but this is more of a GTA style game and has an interesting story. Again, this one again is another game that anybody who's played this really loves this game. Sadly, there won't be any more games, but overall, this is a fantastic game for next to nothing, and it'll give you good entertainment. So you're basically playing as an undercover police officer in Hong Kong, trying to infiltrate the triads and taking them down from the inside. Yeah, really, really good game. Definitely everyone should try this out. I would recommend you play this with a controller because I felt like it was designed to be played with a controller. I've seen people struggle with keyboard and mouse trying to play this game. But this game is only $299, 85% off. Next is Deus Ex Human Revolution Director's Cut. These are some of the best games in my opinion over the last decade or so, from 2010 to 2020 roughly, let's say. And Human Revolution is basically a cyberpunk RPG. You play as Adam Jensen, who is like an ex-SWAT guy, but now working as security, like the head of security for a big biotech firm that makes, augments and stuff for humans. Something goes wrong, a Black Ops team attacks and kills the scientists and leaves you for dead. You get a lot of upgrades and augments to yourself, Adam Jensen, and then you try and figure out this conspiracy and find the scientists and things like that. Really good game. This was my first experience of a cyberpunk style game. Not an open world game. That was probably the only downside to this in my opinion, but otherwise was a very good game. This is only $299 once again, 85% off. Next is Hitman Blood Money. So this is a little older. This is from the previous decade. So this was after like the first 3-4 games, a bit more open-ended. And in fact, the new Hitman games were kind of like this. They're, I would say, inspired by this one. So you have different levels and they're much more bigger and open, and you have more flexibility in how to complete your mission and also how cleanly you do the missions, things like that. So yeah, really good game from 2006, and this is 80% off, only $199. Next is Kane Lynch Deadman. So once again, this is made by the same people who made the Hitman games, IO Interactive, and this one came out after Blood Money. So they were trying to make a new series, and they had 2 of these games. They did not do too well at the time from what I recall, but now for how cheap they are, these are definitely worth a try. It seemed to be like an interesting crime drama type buddy cop, you could say, action games, let's say. And yeah, not a very long game, but also very, very cheap. This is 75% off, only $174. Next, we have F.E.A.R Platinum, another game that is frequently on sale and at an excellent price. Now, this is not available on Steam directly for some reason, at least maybe for me. I see F.E.A.R 2 and F.E.A.R 3 available on Steam and the whole bundle of all three games available. But over on GOG, you can buy F.E.A.R 1 on its own. I don't know why it's not available on Steam, but anyway, this is again from the mid 2000s, and this is another intense action game. So a mysterious paramilitary force infiltrates a multi-billion-dollar aerospace compound, takes hostages, but issues no demands. The government responds by sending a special forces team only to see them obliterated, and then they call the elite F.E.A.R team, First Encounter Assault Recon Team. So action game, horror, and I've also heard that the AI is pretty intelligent in this one, so you should enjoy this one. Standard action game, and this is very, very cheap, 88% off, only $119. And then finally, wanted to mention Alpha Protocol. So Alpha Protocol was a spy RPG style game, third person, and this was made by Obsidian Entertainment and published by Sega. The game was delisted a few years ago, I think like 5 years ago something, but GOG has brought this back. In fact, they've even put like a small section explaining how and why they brought it back, so you could have a look at that. But yeah, it's good to see games being brought back, and GOG is doing a lot of this good stuff here. And so if you were interested in this game, or if you wanted it, put it on your wish list and pick it up when it's much more cheaper, or even if it's cheap enough now, because it's not that expensive. So this is 10% off, you could say a sort of relaunch discount, and it's $17.99. So yeah, that's a quick look at some interesting deals on the GOG website during the spring sale. You have another 3 days to pick up anything that you want. Hopefully this was useful. Thank you for watching. See you next time.